Alright, today we're going to be making a chocolate souffle. First, you're going to want to preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit and get a pot of hot water going. Not simmering or boiling, just hot. And we're going to start separating our eggs. We're going to have 2 eggs here. And I was using the first method where you take the eggshells and you pass it back and forth. I also use my personal favorite separating technique where you just sort of do it by hand and let the egg white fall through your fingers. It's much more messy than the other method, but it is very quick and easy. Next, we're going to start buttering our ramekins, preferably with something like a brush. I was using a barbecue brush here because I couldn't find anything else. And we're gonna butter that, the entire thing. Make sure you get all of it. You don't want any missing spots. Next, we're gonna be putting sugar on that butter. Let the butter adhere to it, and take that sugar and let the excess pour out. Sort of slide it around. Make sure you get all of the ramekin. Put the excess in a bowl or a pan or on the floor, any way you'd like. Just make sure you get it all around that ramekin. Next, we're going to get 2 ounces of chocolate, put it in a bowl, and put it on top of our hot water here. This will help it start to soften, not melt. That's why we don't want it too hot. And we're going to take 1 tablespoon of butter, preferably not dropping it. Melt it in a pan. Once it's melted, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of flour to it. And this is making our roux. We're going to cook that for about 2 minutes. And then once it looks like this, we're going to add 1/4 of a cup of milk to it. We're going to stir it around. And this was way too hot. I would recommend that you turn down the heat at this part, because it's going to cook really quickly. And we'll have, after a minute or two, very quickly, we'll have this sort of paste. And at this point, once you see this sort of consistency, you'll want to take it off the heat and start to transfer it into the bowl. If you have 3 hands like this, like me, it'll be easy to transfer it into the bowl. Alright, now once we have that, I'm going to add some more ingredients. 1 half teaspoon of espresso powder, and then a pinch of salt. Once we have those added, I'm going to start mixing those in with each other and fully incorporate them, kind of smash them in together, and we'll sort of make a paste with this. It'll look something like this when it's fully homogeneous. Go ahead and add 1 of our egg yolks. And mix it in until you no longer can see the egg yolk. You'll have that extra egg yolk for something else. And once we're done with that, we're going to take our 2 egg whites and start mixing them together. Preferably, you'll add something like cream of tartar or vinegar or a little bit of lemon juice to help this puff up. But I forgot, even though I had it out. And once it's frothy like this, we're going to take 1 tablespoon of sugar and add it in 3 parts. I'm going to add it in 3 parts personally. You can add it in 2 or 4. Just sort of in between parts, mix it and fully incorporate it. Here's our second part. Keep mixing it like this with our whisk. You can use an electric mixer too, that'll make things faster, but I don't have one. And once our third part, we're going to keep mixing it until it forms soft peaks. And it'll kind of look like this. When you pick up your whisk, you'll see these peaks start to form. These are soft peaks. You don't want to overmix. Once you have these, you can go ahead and stop mixing. And we're going to add part of our meringue, about less than half at least, and mix it in rigorously. We won't need to be careful at this part. We're just sort of prepping the dough. And this next part, we will have to be careful. We're going to start folding it. You take your spatula and move it underneath the dough and then slide over the top. Very gently. We don't want to deflate that meringue that we just made. And this is important for the rising. Alright, now once it's fully homogeneous and you can see no longer any white from the meringue, you can go ahead and stop mixing. And we can transfer that into our ramekins. We're filling up about to the rim of the ramekin. And if you have any excess chocolate dough, you're going to take and wipe it off. You do not want that on the rims. It'll prevent it from rising. And we're gonna go ahead and pop these into the awaiting 375-degree oven and put it in for about 15 minutes is what I did. But you can adjust this amount of time depending on your oven temperature and your oven. And once they're out of the oven, they'll look something like this. And the inside will be kind of gooey, the outside being kind of a little bit of a crust on it. And enjoy some powdered sugar. This is Cooking Hub.